And I will have to talk about your map. Please don't get
It's
done.
okay.
Okay. Alright, so chart costing and then announce. Alright. Okay. Oh god, I heard my voice on stream.
Sorry.
Fuck. Everyone. Post it in Reflex Discord. Alright. Let's get it. Okay, so I have the chart here. Ah, damn, you can't. Here, I'll allow you to view this. Make a copy of it. Make a copy. So I hope I didn't DC. Did I DC?
No, you're still in.
Alright, okay. Okay, I might ask you sometimes to go view this link. It's just a Google Doc where I'm updating all the
Okay.
I'm giving. I'm going in order. So we're gonna start with heretic, actually. Alright. Oh. No light map. Okay, the bug happens on your server too.
Yeah, it kinda sucks.
Alright.
Should I just clear it or leave it as it is?
So, alright, let me actually. I went over this map before, but I know that he adjusted some things. So, hold on, let's see. First, before I start on this one. That's not changed. Oh, this is moved.
Hello, stream, is this better?
Alright, hold on. I might start with a different map then, because I actually didn't even think to check over this map, because I haven't checked in a while. So hold on, let's move to a different map to start off. Let's move. Okay, those are out.
I'm not gonna be talking a lot, it's alright.
No, that's fine. I don't.
No, I'm just telling the stream, because I'm like kinda loud.
Oh, okay.
If you guys can hear dog, alright, then that's good.
Yeah, it's just me. He's really doing this. Should I pull up the chat? Actually, it will lag me. Just tell me if someone asks.
Okay.
Alright. So we're actually going to start with a different map because I actually forgot to check over this map again. Let's start with So Tourney 2. Oh, I can't call it. Oh, maybe a workshop. So Tourney 2. Alright, we're going to start with So Tourney 2. And remember, and you have the text on stream of what I rank these up. Do you have the text on stream?
Yep.
Alright, cool. So I'm just gonna make it clear. So we do a 4-point rating scale, 1 being low quality and then 4 being high quality. 4 is like the maps in the current map pool, the maps that generally don't leave. 3s are generally maps that are come in and out of the map pool, were played for a while and then probably stop being played. And then 2s are maps that are just your average maps that you'll probably come across or play for fun and whatnot. And then 1s are under that. So if you get a 1 or I give something a 1, don't take that as, oh, it's actually terrible. It's not, probably. It just falls short of the maps that are currently being played. Okay, so we're on So Tourney 2. So let's just go over this a little bit. I feel I'm just going to start with a basic outline of my feelings on this map. I do feel that this is the first map where So kind of nailed what it means, I guess, to be like a reflex map. It's a very standard map. I'm not gonna here. Let's see. It's a very standard map. There's not really anything unique about it, which is gonna definitely hurt it when I go over everything, but it is definitely his first map that is like just 100% solid in terms of item layout and geometry and whatnot, but it definitely feels kind of a bit uninspired and basic. But to go over it, I do like, the ideas that he did attempt, but I don't think it has the potential to actually be a map for reflex that stays around for a while. So we're just going to go over it. So the categories that we're going off of are enjoyment, structure, item placement, potential stability, approachability, which is basically like, can the map be enjoyed and played by all skill levels? So that's including new players versus high-level players. And then you have player interaction and experimentation. So for first thing, my enjoyment of this map, again, very just standard, solid reflex map. Not a lot of bells and whistles. Nothing too unique about the dynamic. So we're just gonna start it off with, like, you have your armor layout. You have. Can you spec me?
Yep.
Probably will help him out. So red. Oh fuck. All right, yellow. Fuck. Where's the other one? Yeah, it's over here. And then yellow. That's like kind of your. I don't remember. Did he? Yeah, he never did. So it's gonna be. It's like your very standard control layout where, you just have areas that you want to, guard over and keep your opponent from getting into or pushing into. Some of the teleport options are very strange. This one's fairly normal. Hold on. I think it's this one. Yeah. Just a very awkward setup. We did talk about it how he spoke on it was fuck, god damn it. Like you're supposed to just do that and whatnot, but it's just in a very awkward place, and I'm not a huge fan on it. And then you have just the geometry, not very interesting. There's not a lot going on. It is an open layout though, so you know, definitely a huge focus on how a fight plays out rather than how you initiate a fight, which we're going to talk about that later on the stream about different maps that focus more on how a fight plays out versus when you enter a fight. Specifically maps like Aberration, which we're going to go on talk about later. But yeah, so map, I'd say in terms of enjoyment, I felt, you know, to be very basic and not hold on to me for that long. So it's definitely going to get a 2 there. And then in terms of the geometry, again, you know, very basic map, very standard stuff. So we're just going to keep going with the 2s here. So like Stowe's map is probably like a baseline, I would say. Item placement also just due to how everything is. You know, it's solid. And he made a reflex map. Like he made just a solid, good reflex map. So it's probably just going to be 2s basically across the board. Not a lot of experimentation, so that's going to hurt him, but it's definitely just a 2-level map just to get things started. I feel like in terms of actually, there's a couple things that we're going to adjust here. Approachability, while the layout is very basic, right? He does follow the same rules that hold on, let's actually count. One stair, 2. Yeah, okay, good. So 1 set and then 2. All right, so that's good actually. I'll talk about stairs in a bit, but basically there is a clear path and an easy to follow path for newer players. And then there's, you know, your fuck, God, Jesus Christ. By the way, my laptop is lagging all over the place. But yeah, so there's just a lot of options that for experienced players, a clear path for newer players to take. So I do say that in terms of approachability, he is gonna get, you know, above average. You know, it just works. So, well, actually no, let's just give it a 4 on that regard. So 2s for item placement, you know, just standard. Nothing too interesting about it that, you know, affects the way of play. Approachability will definitely be a 4. And then player interaction, again, super basic. There's not really any, you know, unique characteristics, which actually on his map, so Attorney 3, you'll probably see me give a high score there. I'll have to talk about it. And then experimentation, he did try, you know, a couple things, just, you know, the average that you would try. Generally speaking, no one's gonna really get a 1 in experimentation unless it's like
The
it
catalyst.
feels, yeah, unless it feels like it's just a complete like copy of shit. So Attorney 2, it's gonna get let's count that up. Pull up my calculator here. Sorry, kind of still for now, but we're gonna talk about some other interesting maps first. But I think starting with this map is a good idea of what to expect. Okay, so yeah, experimentation was a 2, right? Yeah, it was a 2. So we got 2 plus 2. 4. And you can view my sheet, right, Shark? Are you viewing
Yep.
it? All right. So we have that, and then the judges score, the personal score there. It's also actually gonna just get another 2 for me. But it's weighted 50% less. So let's add that up. Let me get the. Yeah, they should be able
Okay.
to see part of it. I just realized that they're just are they just like specking me standing still right now? Unfortunate.
Let's stretch it.
Sorry. So, all right. Here, let me black these out then for now, because I know these were not able to. Tell me when it's up. All right. So I'm at so attorney 2 right now. So yeah, basically 2s across the board, but the personal score, which is the red box, is weighted 50% less. So let's do that. So we got 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Oh, it didn't clear my shit. Fuck. Plus 4 plus 2 plus 2. And that's times 2 plus 2. And then divided by 15. So for So's map, it gets, let's just put this in. Where's the total? Oh, I didn't put a total on these sheets. All right, it's going to be at the bottom. It's going to be a 2.27. So it kind of, sits around the same place as like Shadow Falls and 421. All right, so the next map, we'll just go on to So Attorney 3. So again, So Attorney 2, solid map. I feel like it's his first where he just made, what makes a reflex map a reflex map. So, oh, did you already call it? All right, cool, nice. Now this map is fucking cool. All right, I'm just gonna go around through this shit. You can, after I run through it, you can just run through it yourself. Once I just give them a view of everything. So we're gonna talk about this area a lot. Yeah, green armor, 50. Let me do the TPs for them. So it was just down here. Holy. And then this one was back, and it's a 2-way. See? So, yeah, very simple. But, and then if you're wondering where the other teleporter, it's right over there. Alright, so you can unspec me and just run around. I'm gonna talk about it a bit. So, the reason why I think this map is just, it's probably gonna get near to a 3 level. Some 4s in some places, is the dynamic he did. I feel like now that So had made So Attorney 2, where he fully understood like just what a reflex map, is, he was able to like start breaking some rules there and get very creative with his structure. The geometry on this map is, there's a few, it has its kinks. I do feel like he needs to clean up stuff. He has like some pieces that are just, it was definitely mapped in a way. He did say that he kind of likes like the whole unfinished look, but at times you're going to need to, clean up a few things just to make the flow less annoying to get around at times. So it's not gonna, get too high marks there for that reason, but there's a lot of good parts with this geometry. So first, you have the sight lines on this map. Red room over there in the tunnel. Yeah, shark's watching the other side of it. If you notice, here, let me see if I can. Yeah, so we're at where shark just passed at the rocket and going through. You have to be very careful actually when going through that RA room. So originally on So 22, before he updated and added this block in the middle of it, red side of it was very easy to just be used as like a pit stop where you just kind of ran through and grabbed it. But on So 23, he took that same kind of idea but added this kind of tunnel with sight lines where you're on, you know, very, like, for instance, you're on a rocket platform on this side, and then this side is basically stacked. You have rockets there, ion cannon, and mega. You have to be very careful to enter the red side tunnel. So there's actually a lot of interesting fights that play out there where it's not just someone running to grab red and then running out like it used to be. There's actually like a unique kind of, like, I have to play it, I have to play safe before I enter into there. And then on top of that, how he handles high ground on this map is really well done. He has the 50 up here. And then, you have to drop down for mega. So just like some basic stuff in there, but it just works really well on this map because like you have the YAs are very easy to grab, very simple to just run through. But he stacks like a lot of the, how do you put it? He stacks like the items that are strong on this map. They're high ground, right? But he then, make sure to mix in, a couple of spots on the low ground where you give the person who's having to run here a bit of a chance. So like by giving them bolt, bolt, you have the YA here. Plasma's not too great, but it works. And then you have, the lower rocket compared to the upper rocket near the red room. So it's pretty, I would say, from at least the times I've played it, that's a very balanced map. Probably balanced to, how would I say, like maybe T2 level. So I do think that he did a very, oh fuck, I'm lagging like crazy now. I'm probably gonna be annoying. But he did a very good job on this map in terms of like just pure player interaction. Like it does fall short in a lot of other places, but just because of just how fun and unique the dynamic is compared to most of your average maps, I think it's gonna get a 4 in that regard. So let's go on to the chart. So in terms of enjoyment, I actually will say that I don't see myself not playing this map over time. With So 22, I definitely don't want to play it ever again. I did play it a decent amount. I already am like it was enjoyable, but I don't want it. It's not fun enough for me to continue playing. But this map is definitely going to get a 4 in that regard. I can definitely see myself continuing to play this for a while. The structure, he hit the nail on it, but just there's a few geometry kinks, a few annoyances that kind of break flow in a way that I don't really like. Obviously, maps do have flow breaks to for speed control and all this other stuff, but just how certain things kind of mesh together. A lot of the hard edges when you're passing through certain jumps that kind of are very awkward. Definitely falls short in that, but because of just the dynamic he created with the items, it does end up being above average for me, so it gets a 3. If he does clean up a lot of the geometry, it would definitely be a 4 in that part. Item placement, that also will be, another 3. He actually thought about it a bit more. There's a few parts where, when I was playing, it felt like there was a bit too much ammo at times, but after watching some other people play, didn't really seem the case anymore. So I'm going to give that a 3 because I do feel like I did notice something, so I don't want to give it a 4 and then it end up having issues. But I do feel like it has the potential to have some issues with its item placement at times, but definitely not just average. It was very well thought out what he was doing, and you could see his goal in the map and how
Pork
people
Raven
kind
asked
of
for
have.
an example of flow breaking on this map.
Yeah. Hmm?
Flow,
He wants.
yeah, he wants an example of like where flow can break or something.
All right. So just like passing through this area, we talked about this. So just a few annoyances here when passing through, and then also when passing through here. Just very, very awkward movement getting around. Like it's not too terrible, which is why, again, it's not like I'm giving it a 2 level there. But there's definitely some awkward points, like even just passing through here. It's just kind of, a bit awkward in terms of just moving around. And it doesn't feel like it's a purposeful awkwardness, Like it doesn't feel like there's a lot of purpose to it. Like even spots like that. Again, I'm always going to go back to that spot because it's a clear example. I did tell him to add these here because it used to be a very weird spacing when fighting. Sometimes when falling and stuff, it just felt like the lava cut you a lot, but he did fix that. It's not as awkward anymore. And then you have just like spots where I feel like there was no point in even having a lava gap here. I do think you should just fill it in. Because when passing through, again, another part that I would say is just awkward. And then you have just geometry, like, that kind of gets in the way. Let's find the one that annoyed the hell out of me. This one, there's like, oh wait, is it this one? Where's the side with the triple jump? Hold on. It's not this side. It's this side. It's this one that annoyed the hell out of me at times. So it's just a lot of like stuff where it's like it doesn't feel like purposeful or at all. It doesn't feel like it was meant to do that. And that's why it just kind of bothers me and why I call it awkward flow breaks, even though, in reality it's not too terrible. But on like 4-level maps, you have any kind of like 4-level geometry. Whenever my flow is broken, it feels like it made sense for it to happen. It doesn't feel like, oh, this part is just fucking stupid. Like oh, this one. This one's super annoying. I don't know what the hell this is for, but sometimes it will I'll be passing and it'll eat my jump. Just weird shit like that. I had problems with that. So it's just stuff like that where I feel like he could really clean up the geometry there and not make it as annoying. But it's not terrible. I feel like this map can definitely, just with a few touch-ups, can definitely achieve 4 level there. And then potential stability, I do see myself at least continuing to play this map. The dynamics very fun, and it's very different compared to our current map pool. So it's gonna get 4s there for me.
Alright, Pork says thanks for showing him.
Who says what?
Pork says thanks for showing him like the spots.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then approachability. So you actually never fully went over that. Let me count. And I'll talk about this. We're actually going to call vote a few maps that aren't in the map pool just to go over this. So it makes a bit more sense. I do think, though, that this map might... let me count. What you got? One. Okay, there's a jump pad here. Is this... yeah, it looks like straight. Alright, so approachability on this map. The teleporters are very simple to learn. I was able to memorize those insanely fast. And then the step count. So I'll talk about this actually. Let's call vote. Call vote. Fuck, let me just... Alright. So simplicity is a good example of when you fall short in approachability and when you do really well. So if you spectate me.
Yep.
So first thing about simplicity that's really done and why I feel like a lot of new players generally end up liking playing this map is because getting around it just the normal way, very simple. You kind of know exactly where you're going. There's nothing that's confusing about it. The reason why he generally always has one stair set to get to a place. See, so one stair set to second level, one stair set to third, and then this is just a fall, and then this is its own level, so just one stair set and then back down. But yeah, it's always one. There's no places where it's like, oh shit, where the fuck am I? I forgot where this is. You kind of instantly know, but then it also falls short in terms of teleporters. But the thing is, and the reason why it doesn't hurt the map though is because, well, one, new players are able to get around it just fine without it. But if simplicity, let's say if simplicity didn't have just the same stair set going to each level like a single one, and had teleporters and then multiple stair sets, it'd be a very confusing map, right? To get started with. But now you have a map that is approachable from basically all skill floors, like all, not skill floors, all skill levels. So, for higher level players, they can learn to do the TPs. And then for lower level players, it's still very fast for them to just get around at their speed, because lower level players are slower. They're probably moving like this, but they can get around, and they see stuff like this, and they know exactly where it's headed. It's very clear. So when we go back to So Turning 3, you have, there's like not very distinctive areas at times. Obviously, it kind of does have to deal with that problem. Unfortunately, I don't see a way of fixing that. But then you have like areas like here. Well, you have the one jump pad, but like you see from coming from here, it might be kind of confusing on where to go. It's not very clear on that. For a newer player, I could definitely see them getting lost, picking a side from here to here. It's kind of a bit confusing, but again, that doesn't mean that it's bad. Generally speaking, a lot of maps do struggle in being approachable. Even like our current map pool definitely struggles in that, just because this is a game that has a high skill ceiling. So like you're gonna have to deal with that. But so don't think it's like bad that your map isn't a 4 in that regard, but it's definitely, it definitely struggles a whole lot. But the TPs are actually very easy to learn, like that's one thing you did pretty well on, not making super confusing teleporters, which is like everyone's basically prone to making confusing teleporters. So I think, you did a good job on that. Just a few like things that kind of make it hard for a newer player to approach this map. So I'm gonna probably, honestly, I don't even think it'd be a 2 level in approachability.
Wait, Support Craven asks, it's basically just routing issues?
Yeah, routing issues.
Alright.
A lot of routing issues for that. For a higher level player, it's not too bad, just because we're faster. So if we get lost on this map, generally speaking, if you get lost on this map and you're, better at the game, it's easy to get back to where you want to be just because of how open the map is. But for generally lower level players, it's gonna be pretty confusing. I can already tell. I'm trying to decide if I would give it a 1 or a 2. I feel like because of the teleporters being simple, and you still have pretty good routing. Let's see here. Let me go to a 2 map that I'd say definitely a 2 in approachability. 421. Yeah, it's about on the same level of 421 in terms of approachability. So yeah, that's definitely gonna get a 2. So that's the first, I guess. Oh, I typed in some text. And then interaction. I think the interaction is fucking cool. I like it a lot. So I'm gonna give that a 4 as well. And then for experimentation, I do. It's actually kind of difficult. I think in terms of, how, like his goals that he wanted for the map, I think they're very unique, very different. But I don't think there's like a lot of like things that he tried to completely separate himself, which isn't bad. Generally speaking, we actually had a talk about this with the judges a while ago. But the experimentation score is based on if you successfully, execute newer ideas, like a decent amount of like just completely new ideas. So successfully executed some, fairly new ideas, but they're not like too drastic, I would say. But they're average in execution and whatnot. So again, experimentation is definitely going to be a score that generally everyone can probably get 2s or 1s in. It's just for maps who experiment a whole lot and are successful in that regard, they're going to get 4s. And there's actually a map that I know of that will definitely get a 4 in terms of experimentation. Might cause some controversy, but yeah, this is just going to get an average in terms of experimentation. 421 experimented and had some neat ideas. Shadowfall is experimented, had a lot of cool fucking ideas. Executed them fairly well, but they didn't stick. But like this map, it has a couple in there, but it does when it does well, and it doesn't really need to experiment too much. I feel it just he just made a very solid map. So the judges' score I'm going to give, for me personally, what I feel this map would sit at, about a 3. About a 3. So that's, what is that? What did I put 3s? I put, fuck. Yeah, like, so like DP4, Ruin. Technically, for me personally, like DP5, so that kind of goes onto a 4 level. But so let's say it's a high, that's a high 3, but it has to be a 3 because I can't pick either or. So it's gonna be a 3 for me. Maybe in the future that might change to a 4, but for now, with the time I've gone with it, it's a 3. So let's do the math on that. See what Cell is getting for this map. 4 plus a 3 plus a 3, 4 plus 2 plus a 4 plus a 2 times 2 plus a 3, and then divided by 15. So this map is, yeah, what I expected. It's a 3.13. So it is definitely a map that I see with some polish. It will be able to potentially contest other maps in the map pool. But I don't think it's there yet to really just be a definitive, this is going to remain in the map pool kind of map, but it's a 3.13 for me. All right, so whose maps are we on to next? Let's just get let's get that map out of the way. Let's talk about Phase Shift by, I'm not gonna Irish-ish. Phase Shift, yeah. So let's talk about that map. Let me call about it. There we go. All right. So when at first glance, when I looked at this map, I was like, I'm not gonna like this map. I was 100% like certain, like I'm not gonna like this map. This map is probably one of my favorite maps to play right now. No joke. It is one of my favorite maps to play right now. The first time I looked at it, it was in a different state. But he's changed a lot about it that just makes it like a fucking just fun as fuck map to play. Definitely something that if it weren't to actually here, let me talk about that. If So 23 in this map weren't to place in the mapping competition, I would definitely give them honorable mentions. Like 100%, both of these would get them. Yes, this map does have the controversial force field, but he does it far better than static discharge. He doesn't put it on a ground level, where people can just cheese it. It's in a spot that forces movement more than anything. So it's actually very well done. Item layout, super fucking fun. There's a lot of paths you can take. Like here, let's go up to the red floor. Shark, you might want to follow me on this. Okay. So we're at the red floor, right? This drops, and when you pass it, so you're passing yellow. You're passing yellow here. This is the yellow platform up here. Right here. Yeah, on this jump pad. So you're passing yellow as that happens. And I like how it doesn't instantly fall into it. You still have this path you have to take. And then you also have, you can also just go straight into Mega and then TP up to here. Which at first, you see, that's the confusing part. I don't know how he did this, but at first, I was very unsure about having a Mega TP into red, just like that. But the amount of possibilities and options you actually have on this map is insane. Thanks to him adding this room, by the way. This room used to not exist. The green armor room. Fall down? Oh, okay. This room used to not exist. It's perfect. Alright. Thanks to this green armor and this TP here, it makes, contesting choices like that basically way less annoying. And there's actually, I feel like the map in terms of balance is actually very well. Actually, I think my first time against Ish on this map, I beat him 8-1. It is a slower map, but it's very fun. I will say the item layout is actually like perfect, and this whole area here, because YA is literally right there on this force field, right? It forces the person playing through here, who most of the time they're actually in control if they're on this side. Sometimes, it will be someone out of control, but generally speaking, because of just the drop here, there's the red room's right there, the drop here, it will force them to actually have to come in to fight. But so I do think the force field here is actually really well done. And then just the whole 3 floors, straight up, this jump pad. It's the whole jump pad, so you can go higher and whatnot. And this green armor here, when Itch was out of control, he'd generally like play around here, try and poke me out. And then if I took a different path, he could fall and contest me, And generally that area, TP layout, very easy to learn. Here, actually, let's see if I believe this TP goes. All right, cool. So yeah, TP layout, very easy to learn. Item layout is actually very well done. Now, geometry though. This is where you fall short, I guess. Not too short. It's still gonna get a 3 just because of the execution of it all. The whole 3 floors actually working very well together. But he does have some points. The scaling actually isn't that bad. It looks awkward at first, but when moving around it isn't. But this stair, I talked about it with him. This stair is terrible. Alright? Very awkward. I don't like the gap here. It's small at times. It can feel small just because of this room. You have spots like here. This isn't fun to play around. There's some weird juts. These juts here, they look cool, but they kind of throw you off at times. Just like a lot of weird stuff that kind of like can kill your jump or kill your movement if you land on it in the wrong way. Just stuff that kind of just kills the vibe, like kills the good vibes on the map, right? And this map, while I do feel like at first glance when people look at it, it's like, yeah, I'm not fucking playing this. Some people, they see the force field, or they see it does look more like a Quake map more than a Reflex map. I will say that people should actually give this map a chance. There are a few odd item placements like that one, but this definitely is a map that I will say is actually really well done, and I'm gonna pride Ish on that, and he definitely gets an honorable mention for this map if it doesn't place. Actually, very fun. Follows a lot of good concepts, and I mean, it makes sense because Ish has been around for a while mapping. He's probably the most creative mapper in this community. Takes a lot of weird chances, tries a lot of new things. and he's getting really, really good at executing on those things. Like that's generally, at one point, I believe he used to map with other people, right? So he would generally, it'd be like he'd make a map with some people, and you could tell like it would be like has these creative ideas and executed very well, but it's just his geometry still needs to work on a little bit more. Stuff like this is, yeah, I don't like stuff like this, and I also don't like. So I like that he made these windows to fight in. I saw him using them a lot on me, but it's just too much going on. I feel like he should have just made more open windows, not block off too much sight. Because generally speaking, the person's going to be here, they're going to be falling to here. It doesn't hurt to allow a bit more bullying, but it does help in forcing the person through here, so maybe I could be wrong on that. This void, I know people talk about it. It's like a death void. It's actually done very well. Doesn't actually happen a lot in the game where people, die here. They just have to be, cautious pushing through on this side, because this is a safer side technically to push through on than to go through here. So if you're pushing through here, or you're falling down to here, you're probably gonna be in control and then get fucking caught out. And then you have the green armor right above it to red. So we're gonna go over where's that and give this map again. I think it's actually one of my favorite maps submitted. I was surprised on it being my favorite map. Again, it's a map where you actually do need to play it to realize, like, hey, this map is actually pretty fucking good. It's not as bad as I thought. So please, to all those out there, play the fucking map. It's actually really good. So we're gonna go over it. 4 for enjoyment. Structure is a 3. I talked about it. A lot of just again, same thing with So 23. Awkward choices in geometry at times. Item placement, again, I think it's very good for the most part, and then it falls short. In some situations, there's just like ammo placements are kind of weird, like that IC I pointed out. Kind of off the path kind of stuff that feels very awkward to even bother going to get, so you end up just running to where the item is, like instead of going to go grab rocket ammo, you just run to go get a new rocket instead, because it's just very awkward to get to, and it doesn't make sense where it's placed, where you would use it. So while the item placement elsewhere is actually really well done, because of that, it does fall short. I'm gonna have to actually decide on whether I want to give that a 2 or a 3 then, because the geometry kind of makes the item placement make sense. But we might give it a 3. I'll decide on it. Potential stability. This map is very different from every fucking map in the map pool. If people end up liking it, I do feel that it can potentially remain within the map pool. But at the same time, it does have, its weird kinks. It does have its questionable choices where I feel like it probably might not like fully remain in it. It probably will sit kind of at around, ruin, static discharge, DP4. It'll probably be at that level. So that's going to be a 3 for me. Approachability. Again, so let's talk about the routing on this map. Probably a harder map to approach, just because of it being a square. Like, it's very square. It can be probably very confusing for newer players. But at the same time, it's actually not too bad. It's just a single jump pad for a newer player. It's very obvious to learn the TP going up there. TP down here. If they pay attention, they know it's just a TP up. Generally speaking, it's always a TP up, and if it's a TP at the top, it's a TP down here. So this is kind of the only TP where it will take the newer player a while to learn. And then this is very obvious. Kind of figuring out what side you're going to be on, though, is a bit more confusing. Like, I do find this area to be a bit confusing at times. When pathing, like just going around the map. I do find some armors to be a little bit confusing to find. Hold on. See, I can't even find it right now. Oh, that is because, yeah, okay, green armor, yellow armor, green armor is over there. If I remember correctly. Oh, you know what? He removed it. You see, okay, I'm mixing up an older version of the map. Okay, that's my fault, not the map's fault. All right, so yeah, just a few, small things with routing that I do think is just gonna put it at 2 level. But it definitely has a chance to be 3. This map, just because of how it's laid out, it will probably never be able to get a 4. Generally speaking, if you have a map that's like a square, the person's probably going to be lost for a while. Newer players are going to be lost for a while on where to go, and what side they're appearing on. And then just having a jump pad like this, I love this jump pad, but jump pads like these will always be, semi-confusing to learn and get used to, because it's, it's something that abuses a movement, thing with the jump pad. So it's going to struggle there. Player interaction. There's a lot of ways for out of control to get back into the game, because it forces a lot of the time the in control player to push into them rather than to push out. But it also gives green armors 2 greens, so you're not going to be cycling those as much. You're generally only going to be paying attention to YA room and RA and Mega, because there's only 1 Y, there's not 2. So I do think it helps, for the in control player to win. They do kind of have to keep kind of forcing themselves into harm's way a lot of the time. And then the out of control player generally always has a way to have a jump on them. Obviously, not all maps need to have player interaction like this. Like, I do think, while everyone knows I don't necessarily like T7, I do think T7 has good player interaction. Because generally speaking, when people lose on it, while they do know, like, they don't feel like cheesed by any of the map's like qualities, I feel. But yeah, I do like how this map plays. It's slow, but you generally always know where someone is. It's not super ratty. It's actually very hard to rat in this map, especially that pit there with the water pool. Just to point out something, a lot of the times when we add water onto a map that's like a thin layer of water, it's to prevent ratting, because it creates noise. You can't rat in there. So I'm going to give the player interaction. It is slow for reflex, so I'm going to give it a 3. I don't think it gets a 4 there, but my enjoyment of it is definitely high. Experimentation. This is the map that I said would definitely get a 4 in experimentation. Executed on basically every new idea insanely well. So it's going to get a 4 there. Okay, so let's think about item placement again. I'm going to go through it. So you got the rocket here, the 3 shards. See, it's stuff like that that's just very weird. 50. Ion cannon stuff. See, like the armor placement is like perfect, and then the weapon placement is also perfect. Like there's just a lot of, but then you have just the weird stuff. You know, like plasma being here is smart. You know, then you have like Y. I believe there's I don't really like having the bullet ammo either. Forgot about that. Yeah, I think it's gonna get a 2 in item placement. Because generally speaking, it's not hard to fuck up armor placements. People do fuck up weapon placements to this day. He did a good job on it, but just, you know, in terms of health, shards, ammo, still falling short there. So that's gonna get a 2. And then my enjoyment of this map, my personal score, I give it. I really fucking like this map. I like playing it. So in terms of personal score, just in my enjoyment, I do find it just as fun to play as T2, which by the way, T2 is my favorite map. So I'm gonna give it a 4 there. So let's see where this one stacks up. I think it will be probably the same around so level. So turning 3. So let's see. So turning 3 on 3.13. I think this will be the same. Maybe slightly higher. I can't tell. 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Oh yeah, the experimentation is gonna raise it up higher than a lot. And times 2 plus 4 divided by 15. Okay, so it's a 3.06. All right, so turning 3 still beats it out. I just feel like they need to work on item placement and, you know, their structure a bit more. They will always basically fall short in terms of approachability. They can probably potentially get it to a 3 level, but for now, it doesn't make it. But yeah, 3.06. So it's there. Clear map that's there. So yeah. All right. Let's talk about Zyton. Let's talk about Zyton. I've actually scored this map before as a practice. This map. So we're gonna go quickly through this map. Generally, I feel like everyone watching the stream has probably seen this map, knows its setup and whatnot. Couple issues with this map that are what hurt it for me. In fact, let me just make this clear. I think this map is great. It's very fun to play. There's a lot of things that it does really well. The geometry gets 100%. It gets a 4. Geometry is beautiful on this map. The sight lines are perfect. It promotes a lot of aggressive play. The interaction's very cool. I like the dynamic of it all. You know, it's just like that. There's not really any like flaws in this map, but it's what separates it that's the issue. And I'm actually going to rescore this map because the last time I scored it, I actually didn't like a couple of the stuff I gave it. We're gonna be quicker on this one, so we can get to that point. So Zyton, my enjoyment factor is actually going to be, you know, a 4. I enjoy it just as much as all the other maps in the top tier pool. The geometry, the structure, and all of that, all 4s. You know, for structure, for item placement, it's a 4. But then you have potential stability. This is actually a 1. Reason being, all right, so I-10, super fucking fun map, very well. The only reason why I don't see this managing to remain ever in the map pool is because for this map to remain in the map pool, it has to overshadow T2. Because this map is, we all know it, this map is very similar to T2 in, how it plays, its layout. Even the geometry, like the windows and stuff, mimic, T2. Zydos was definitely clearly inspired by this. It's kind of the same thing in how, T7 is inspired by CPM 3A. But the issue being is that T7 is for reflex and 3A is for CPM, while T2 is for reflex and Zy10 is also for reflex. So I don't think I'll ever really see this map, while people enjoy it, I don't think I'll ever see this map overshadowing T2 to surpass it. Now, there's a lot of things I actually think this map does better than T2, and there's a lot of things I think it does worse. I think the cons on this map, though, are far more than the pros in terms of it being paired against T2. The pros, though, are, again, sightlines. This spot, really well done. This spot, really well done. Just what you can see, the vision you have of things, of items. Very well done. Just everything about this, like your vision and how you have to push up into things, and when you can sit back, is just very well done. Here is very well done, but it's just too much like T2 in, item layout, weapon placement, and all of that. And just how it plays, like I think I have put enough time on this map to determine how it plays. It's too similar for me. So that's gonna get a 1. And that's what sucks, is that, yes, this mapping competition, the main award isn't actually the prize pool, even though people look at that. The main award is to be added to the map pool, at least for our tournaments, and then we can hopefully, push them into the map pool for other people's tournaments at a later date. But I don't see like strong T2 players. I see them just calling this as like a wild card if, like, let's say, T2 ends up getting like banned or something. But I don't really see this really overshadowing anything. It just kind of gives strong T2 players more T2, and that's not ideal. Approachability, it's about the same level as T2, which actually isn't 4 level for me. These TPs are fairly good. Very easy to learn, not too hard. TPs like this, though, kind of throw off new players because they don't know what they do. Obviously, they're useful for, this teleporter jump or getting down to here, but I feel like it'd just be safer to kind of redo this a little bit to kind of, give something that makes a bit more sense for, a newer player. And then steps, passing, routing, that's kind of weird. You keep going up here and you're sent there, but then, you go up here, you're sent to the higher level. I feel like they'll mix up, where to go a lot of the time. So it's going to fall short in there in terms of approachability, but it's actually not that bad. It's, it just has, generally speaking, like I talked about earlier, approachability is something that's very hard to get a 4 in. It's very, very difficult to get a 4 in. So it's probably going to get, how would I say it? It's probably going to get like a 3. I'd give it a 3. I feel like that's the TPs are easy to learn. Most of the routing is really well done. It's just that extra step there, and then that one TP kind of makes it fall short a bit. If they kind of redo a bit of the structure there, the design there, I think it'll be easier for all players to learn the map. I do think though that in its current state, it's going to be slightly difficult, but not too difficult to learn. So it's a 3 there. Um, Interaction, that's another one where I'm actually going to give it a 3. I think in terms of sightlines and the aggression stuff, it does it way better than Pocket, but just sometimes it falls short. And I do think Pocket is actually a 3 as well, because at times it can be Pocket is a very well-rounded and very good map, but at times it can be kind of boring. At times in this map, it can feel like bullshit. Like if someone gets a nice steal from this YA to the red, like stuff like that, very awkward. In fact, that actually might make me change the item placement score. It just feels like BS. This grenade launcher's in a good spot. Ion cannon's in a good spot. Um, it's the same thing kind of as Pocket, where it's path to red, but through TPs instead. Yeah, I think I might actually lower item placement to a 3 just because of this spot here. This spot, it's like a kind of like a T7 kind of ordeal, but it doesn't really fit the map. I feel like it just kind of, you know, makes things a bit more awkward. I think they could, shift this over a bit and like push something out. Uh, that's good. That's good. Ammo placement on this map I actually really like. It all makes sense. I don't know if they thought about it too much, but I'm gonna assume that they did because it actually makes a lot of sense. Not a lot of times where it's super annoying. Didn't give super a lot of ammo. Having the bolt in there is very well done. Yeah, you know what? It's gonna stay at a 4. One kink like that kind of can. Yeah, it's gonna stay at a 4. I don't think I'll drop item placement. Fuck, I have to actually think on this. Because, like, where would I rate it in between a 3 and a 4? Is it closer to. Because pocket item placement also falls short, and I give pocket item placement a 3 generally. So I'll actually probably just give this a 3, the same as pocket. I'm not still. Let me adjust item placement score there. I'm gonna put it back at a 3. All right. Yeah, we'll go a bit faster. You can just tell me that a voice. It's all good. Yeah. All right. Interaction, though, will also be no, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. I'm not gonna do that. It's gonna get a 4 in an item placement. I'm not gonna ruin that. Interaction is gonna be, a 3, and then experimentation, it's pocket. It's a 1. I can't really do anything about that. So my judges score. I do think this is a great map, but it is pocket. But it's very well done. It's very polished, very solid map. So I'm gonna give it actually a. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3 there. I do think it deserves a 3 from me because I think Zyda did a really good job on adapting pocket. But again, both of the maps are for the same game, so it kind of sucks. So let's do that. 4 plus 4, 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1 times 2 plus 3 divided by 15 So that's going to put it at a 2.87. Which really sucks because it is a good map, but you know, it has those similarities are too strong. Potential stability and experimentation I don't think it experimented really at all. I wanted to see some newer ideas in there. It actually kind of makes me, it makes me a bit sad on that. But let's go to the next one. Let's go to HDM 13. So if anyone's noticing how the scores are probably going, you kind of do have to be a map that you would see in the map pool. So while you have these great maps, they do fall short. So I'm going to run through this map fast. I've kind of gone over this map with people before, so I know what to say. Scaling, too large. Needs to be, shrunk a little bit. Item placement, very well thought out. It's the same thing as I-10, honestly. Basically the same thing as I-10 in terms of what it deals with. It's very close to simplicity, but not as close as others. I do think it has, like this atrium here, very, very cool. TPs are a bit more confusing. In terms of approachability, though, it does very well. It does about 3 level. You have the confusing TPs, yes, but you see that one stair set that just goes around. Very obvious where you're headed. No issues there. Kind of have to learn the TPs though, so it's about the same level as simplicity again. About 3 level. Item placement, very well done. This 50 is in the most perfect spot, kind of like a T750. And then armor placement's cool, but we do have to go a bit faster now. So we're just going to go through this a bit. So my enjoyment factor of this map is actually, I played it a lot for some time. It was a 4, but the structure of the map, the scaling just kind of allowed it to be slower than expected. And also just was very awkward. So the structure is actually going to get, a 2. Because scaling is something that's super important. So when you mess up on there, it's actually going to hurt your score a bit more for me. Item placement, very well done, very well thought out. And no issues there. And then potential stability, it's going to struggle the same as I-10, not as badly though. There's a few, unique things here because it does pull a lot of ideas from arrow walk rather than simplicity at times. So it's not, it doesn't feel like too bad. It's going to get a 2, slightly higher there. Approachability, you have the same confusing TPs, but it's the single stair set. So same as I-10, it's a 3. Interaction, I'd say that in terms of healthy player interaction, for me, I think this map does a very good job at making the out of control player feel like they're not just like in a shitty situation completely, and that they can, handle it or figure it out. So I'm gonna give that a 4 there. Definitely, and then experimentation, it's gonna get a 2. And then the judge's score is going to be the same as I-10 with A3. And I'm actually going to adjust score there. You went over it before, but I kind of want to give I kind of want to move Soterney 2. I want to put its experimentation down to a 1. And I want to bring Soterney 3's experimentation from a 2 to a 3. Yeah, I was doing that wrong. So yeah, so Soterney 3 score goes slightly up, Soterney 2 score goes slightly down. Just in case you guys are wondering. I'm not going to calculate that though until later. So let's get this one out of the way. So we got 4, 2 plus 4, 3, 2 times 2 plus 3 divided by 15. Oh, point got a solid 3. Like nothing. Just a solid 3. Yeah, which makes sense to me. I feel. Just it falls short in the same places as I-10. The I-10 I feel got a slightly lower score in terms of experimentation. That's probably what kept it from not getting about the same. The I-10 just fixes experiments a little bit more, changes up some stuff. It's a bit more creative, I think. It'll last, it will survive because it's really well done. So next thing, we're going to do Shark DM1. This is a map that I looked at and was like, I don't know, and then I enjoyed it a lot. This is Shark's first map. This is definitely a map that I actually talked about. I'm definitely going to give this map. If it also doesn't, I feel like a lot of maps out here do deserve like honorable mentions, or just to be talked about, at least by me. So I do want to give this map, an honorable mention, but it doesn't mean I don't think it's gonna get that high of a score from me. There's a lot of things it does I feel struggle with. You have the awkward red room in terms of geometry. At first, it appears like the map scaling is weird. It's not necessarily the scaling, and more just some weird geometry placements. Some things are kind of close to each other, but in terms of like actual pathing, and then getting around the map and areas to fight, and the scaling actually is not bad. It's just there's some weird stuff that it falls in. So it's actually probably gonna get too, like you have this kind of these weird pieces here. You have the awkwardness of here, where Shark, you're gonna have to tell me, do these do anything? Do these lead tags?
I don't know. The elevation increase was originally there just to make it like look more interesting, so it's not all the same.
Yeah, but it's kind of awkward. Like even with the stair, like right into the corner, like to have an elevation.
You can jump it pretty easily.
Like, oh yeah, but it doesn't like make sense to me. It's not very, I would say like that obvious. I don't think there's like a point for it to be there. I just feel like it could potentially cause a lot of annoyances. It's actually not bad. Like the scaling isn't bad. There's a lot of cool stuff here with the geometry. Oh, I fucked it up. But yeah, you see. Fuck. I do like the little thing here to make certain jumps easier and slide into. But then you just have this this area is very kind of awkward. Also kind of feels cramped at times. But it's not like terrible. For a first map, that's like a serious map. I think Curiosity did like an amazing job for first time. Watching people play on this map, it actually seems like they're enjoying themselves. I was enjoying myself a lot playing on here. Item placement was cool. Yeah, ammo boxes actually make sense. That's something I feel like a lot of people don't look at, but ammo placement on this map, not a lot of it, but it makes sense when it's done. Like there's spots where I feel like, okay, yeah, this ammo should be here. And then you have like kind of, yeah, this area is a bit weird. This makes sense, but I don't like it too well. Because it's to grab a green armor, I feel like it should generally be far easier or, make a bit more sense. I can see what he was going for, though, because it is an RA fight, so let's say, you can't come into it, and then you're going to grab GA instead. But it's just, it feels backwards, is all. GA to RA, it feels backwards. But obviously you can't have it exactly because of the teleporter. If that made any sense at all. But yeah, there's just a few things about it. I don't think the scaling is bad, it's just awkward at times with where he places things that makes it feel like it is. So definitely something I would give an honorable mention. So we're gonna give my enjoyment factor was probably like a 3. I enjoy it about the same. No. I actually no. We'll give this a 3. Yeah, dude, wait, did I fuck up my scores? No, I didn't. Okay, yeah. So we'll give this a 3. I actually enjoyed it a lot, just how it played. There's a lot of fun things in it, a lot of cool, like just fights that would play out. Because I generally always, personal preference, I do generally give maps that are more open. I end up enjoying them more just because my playstyle kind of works with that. So that's going to be a little bit biased, but we have a multitude of judges. I'm not an actual judge, so if you hate my scores, don't worry, they're not real structure. It's going to get a 2. It didn't fail in scaling or anything, but it just has a lot of awkward points, and I think you need to space out things a bit, and then put things that put some things a bit closer together, like that area with boat and everything feels very large compared to the side with the red side, where it feels kind of more cramped, and it doesn't feel like a purposeful way. It feels very awkward. Item placement, I actually did pretty well with this. It does fall short at the armor side of things, I feel, which does hurt it a bit more, because this game has a lot of importance in armor, so it's going to get a 2 there. So about 4-2-1 level in terms of armor layouts, armor placement. Potential stability, it's going to get a 2. I don't really actually ever see this map staying around, just because of the other stuff, but if people were to actually like this, I think it plays differently enough compared to the other maps that it does warrant a 2 rather than just giving it a straight 1. Approachability. Let me go through this real quick. Stair set. Yeah, very weird. You have the jump pad here. And then the TPs are a bit wild. Will probably take a bit for people to learn. This kind of routing is very weird. At a higher level of play, completely fine. But routing is very weird for, most, I would say. So that's actually probably going to get a 1. I think it does fall short compared to most maps out there. And then interaction, it actually has a very cool dynamic. Going back and forth between the two sides is actually really fun. That again, both side, I like a lot of the fights that play out there. And even the hallways, where generally maps struggle at hallways, due to his item placement and whatnot, within the hallways, I do think that it made, fighting there not as annoying and actually fairly interesting. And then, it shifts, like the fights shift around the map a decent amount. Like you don't generally like commit to one spot. And I did watch, some videos and then replays, inspect people to see if that was the case. And yeah, the map, you generally are constantly, moving and going. There's not really like a standstill area. The hallways actually work out pretty well. So I'm going to give the interaction a 3. And then in terms of experimentation, there actually are very decent amount of similarities to Quake maps here. I don't think he really executed too well on his like trying new things. Obviously it was fun, but just again with the geometry and teleporters and stuff, it did fall short there. So I actually am gonna give, while he did experiment, it wasn't like, it didn't feel 100% successful. So it's actually going to get a 1 there. And then the judges score for me, I'd say this map, probably like a 2. Yeah, a 2. Very, like I'd play it probably just as the same amount as I would play Shadow Falls. Probably, yeah, about the same amount. So then let's add that up.
I think that averaged out to an exact 2.
Oh yeah, let's see. Hold on. 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1 times 2 plus 2 divided by 15. Yeah, that's a 2.
Hey,
Exact
we made
2.
it, boys.
Yeah, all right. So got that one out of the way. I'm gonna go a bit faster on these. I'm actually getting into maps that that I can just talk about very quickly, that I don't feel like I should warrant judging at the moment. So let's just get through those. So I'm not gonna judge these maps because I do feel they fall a bit short. So let's talk about Canaria. I do feel like with Canaria, Skytune's had this map around for a long time. We all know this, and I feel like they've just kind of become super attached to it and haven't really wanted to just make something new. But I really think they should. Watching people play it, it seemed fairly interesting, but geometry, item placement, just a lot of places just fall short. And there's some cool ideas in here. And I actually would like to see a map kind of in the same vein, where it's kind of a straight shot. Which Catalyst is actually like that. Catalyst is actually very similar now I think about it. Yeah, it's a straight, because Catalyst is a straight shot with the routing being, similar. This is also why it's such an easy map to learn. But yeah, just a few weird things. This YA room, Oh fuck, can't move right now. Item placement's very awkward. Is there something? Oh, it's this way. Yeah, just a lot of just stuff that feels very messy and random. But like, I do think that there are cool ideas in here, and I do want to see another kind of straight shot map. So I do feel like they should just completely remake this map with more polished geometry before they start arting it, because it looks like how this map one was. They were learning the editor, wanted to see some stuff, came across the art, made some cool looking things, and kind of put it all together, rather than, you know, making a layout, seeing what works about it, what doesn't, and then continuing from there. And that's why this mapping competition is a layout competition. The layout, it does fall very short, so we're not gonna grade this one. I actually don't think it'll get us. It definitely, you know, does well in some areas, but it is very lacking. So I will say it's probably like a 1.2. But we're gonna go into the next one. I want Skytune to really like try making more stuff. Okay, we're gonna talk about AT1 now by Alan. All right, AT1. Another map. It feels kind of. It feels like a lot of ideas kind of just mashed up together, but not like taken to fruition. One thing I want to give some, I guess, advice on, um, and I do this now, is make a list of goals you want for a map, and then like put it out. What the fuck? Okay, and then like kind of work off of those goals and keep trying to go from there. Because then you'll probably naturally have a more structured map. But right now it feels like a lot of stuff is kind of all over the place with this map. It looks like he did improve on some things I was talking about with the item layout. So that's awesome. This is still weird. This is better, but it just like a lot of stuff is very awkward about it. It's kind of confusing where things go. Let's see here. In terms of approach, yeah, you kind of like know, oh, it takes me to the blue room, but you know, it's kind of very confusing on where that is. And then there's no real straightaways. I will say this. Hold on, fucking god damn it. I do like this area here. This is cool. I like this, and then you know that's sick. That's fucking fun. But you know, it is a very lacking map. A lot of ideas are here, but he really needs to, you know, pick one and then go with it, you know? Just pick one and go with it. A lot of cool stuff, but yeah, it's just lacking in that. And then we'll work on his geometry a bit more, obviously. It's annoying sometimes. Scaling can get kind of weird at times. It can feel massive and then small. And massive and then small. Yeah. I would probably also get like a maybe like slightly higher than 1.2. About there. Let's talk about Tantalus. This one I'm actually going to attempt to judge a little bit. Tantalus is probably like a 2 map for me. Tantalus by Rife. A lot of cool shit in here. Sharkosity. Am I going fast enough? Are we on time here?
No, yeah, that's cool.
All right.
We have plenty of time.
So, Tantalus. Fuck. I wish I go a bit more in depth, but Tantalus, right? So Tantalus is kind of more like a Quake map. There's a lot of cool ideas going on. I do like this whole red side of things, but it struggles with something I used to struggle with a lot, and that is adding just way too many fucking jumps, awkward areas like that. Like this is cool, but just this area getting to it is very weird. This room is pretty nice. This shit is awkward. This is actually a crouch hole. Just weird shit like that. Like where crouch, I actually want to see maps use them more. But and how it's set up here is kind of weird. You have this dip into water, but it's only for a 25, where you lose all speed and then can get punished the fuck out of for it. And also you make noise going into the water, and then you're slowed down. And then sometimes you have that fucking annoying thing with how reflex. God fucking damn it. Please, somebody. Let me out of this fucking water. I hate this shit so much. There we go. Holy fuck. You see, yeah, like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, you're just for a 25. I actually want to work on and see maps that have people go underwater for a little bit. I think they can work well if, entries and exits are made correctly and what you put in the water and like makes sense. But it's just some weird stuff. But this red room is cool. A lot of cool ideas. Scaling, a bit awkward. But it's not like a terrible map. There's a lot of stuff that makes a whole lot of sense here. There's just too much going on at once. It definitely needs to be touched up. So I'd say high 1, low 2. Probably not too rangy yet, but definitely. Actually, no. This is probably high 1. Let's say like a 1.8 to a 2.
I think it'd be a cool TDM map or doubles.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like big enough. There's lots of movement stuff. It's cool.
Exactly. Like he has a lot of cool shit going on here. So it could definitely work as a map right now, but it's large and kind of awkward at times. Stuff like this is like, it's kind of weird. And then the change up in, steps and stuff, because it looks like he was trying to fit this in, and then he couldn't. So what he did was he just kind of like placed blocks in a way where it worked. But even if, like, it works and you can get up there, is it fun to get up there? Is it fun to go around there? No. So, like, just don't do it. Scrap it and retry with it. Yeah, a lot of good shit going on here. A lot of cool ideas. I want to continue to see Rife making maps. I want to continue to see Sharkosity making maps. I want Skytune to try new things. But definitely, they're getting there. Both Rife and Shark, actually all three of them, those were their first maps, I believe. Skytune was Canaria their first map? I think it was, actually. Yeah, it was, I believe. Tantalus by Rife is like his first. Shark BM1 is, in a sense, your first. So, like, very, very well done for firsts. And I want to see them continue to make more maps in the future because I definitely think that Sharkosity can make a map that competes with all the others in the future, like 100%. So we're going to talk about DM Shun by Visitor. I actually went over this map with him. He fixed a lot of the shit I didn't like. Still a lot of awkward things going on, but it actually is a pretty solid map. Scaling, the fuck? Scaling's a bit weird. A bit too much going on at times. Oh, you fixed this at least, thank God. Oh, okay, yeah, he fixed that. It used to just be very awkward to have even any form of a fight here. It's stupid. It was a very big hallway map at first. They made it more spaced out, but upon making it more spaced out, it ends up making a lot of shit happening at once and a lot of jumps that make the map very, I guess, hard to predict, people's movement naturally, which is actually very important in making a map. If you notice on like Simp, Kata, etc., they don't actually have that many crazy jumps. They generally have a couple of jumps that kind of define the map. But like a lot of times it's not like a million fucking cool ass jumps. And I used to fucking have the same problem where I would litter my map with jumps, and I still kind of do at times. I need to fucking stop. But yeah, it falls short there. But I would definitely give this map probably around a 2 from watching it being played and the time I got with it. There's a lot of things it does right. Item placement, very weird. Geometry, very weird. Interaction with players, still very weird because of all of this, This whole area here, I'd understand putting water here. I don't understand putting water here. I guess it doesn't really mean that much because you're already out in the open, but yeah, there's just a few odd things, and then yeah, you have just a fuck ton of wow. I hate playing on this thing. You have just a fucking ton of just weird shit that just doesn't make sense. Yeah, this is pretty standard though. This area here, did he fix it? Okay, he fixed it. TPs are confusing. Approachability, very hard on this map, definitely. Definitely a very hard map to learn for probably all players. I'm always generally constantly lost in this map. I ran around it a ton of times to hopefully learn it for all of this. But I still get fucking way confused. So if you notice, generally speaking, when I went around all the other maps today, I knew them. But I do not fucking know this map. I'm so confused at times. But that's probably gonna get around a high 1, low to 2, most again. But I do think, in terms of everything else, Shark DM1 is definitely better than both of the other ones I went over. So, yeah, they're probably like just high 1s. So that's all of those on that side. So we have aberration, driven, and heretic. All right, so let's do heretic. So we only have 2 maps left. Cool. All right. So heretic. Heretic Red. I don't know how I feel about this map anymore. At one point I liked it, and then he changed some things, I'm not a huge fan of them. The scaling is very weird. Low ceilings, a lot of low stuff. This area is very awkward to get around. Not sure I like the center bolt. It used to be up there. It was like a swapped, I think. I think a grenade launcher was here, actually. No. No, I think it was. No, let's not say that, but bolt used to be up there. Or it was steak launcher at one point, actually, I think. It's kind of awkward. But there's a lot of good things this map does well. I did enjoy playing on it. On the version I did play on, it was different. Obviously, a lot has changed now. But it's not like too terrible. Oh, Jesus. Oh, yeah, the TP's changed. Unless I'm just confused. This jump pad, I'm not a huge fan of. The YA there, I'm not a huge. Oh, holy hell. Let me just use this for now. I can't rocket jump right now. The YA here, not too bad. But I can see it definitely causing problems. GA being in this spot, just low ground with ion cannon and all of that stuff. It's just smart. You know, you give a tiered weapon in a place where, you know, out of control would actually chill. Probably like out of control, I believe on this map always chilled around here to down here. So they can fight for red when it comes. And then in control would generally. Oh, he removed something. Oh, it's not there. Okay, in control would definitely. What would they do? Yeah, in control would definitely just have control of this area here. Fuck, if I can get up to it for some reason, I can't play this game anymore. In control would probably chill up here. Because of this TP, they can get red and then go back. And then also have mega potentially. So generally, and out of control is chilling over here. So it's smart to give them control of this and that, and then be able to contest the red. So it has smart design, but the geometry is insanely lacking, I feel. Very awkward. Some weird placements of things. But it's definitely not like two range. Actually, I'd have to say it's probably is a 2 range. Maybe like a mid 2. Just because, you know, just some things are very lacking. I didn't find this map as fun as other maps, and map pool kind of stale at times. Can get super ratty, I feel at times, and then it can also, when I'm playing at least, I generally don't steamroll people. I'm not like the best at this fucking game, but it felt like once I got a lead, I was able to keep it just because of the amount of control that you have. Now, I haven't gotten a lot of time on this version of the map, but it looks like the same issues are still kind of there. This TP used to be kind of a bump up to here, and it made sense because, you know, GA used to be here, and this was out of control side, so it was like you pushing into out of control side. But now you're giving the red armor, he moved it down to here. Well, he didn't move it, he added it. It used to be a different style map, but you know, it's now here where it kind of completely breaks that and just makes this all like in control kind of ordeal where I could definitely see this steamrolling a whole fucking lot once you learn the map. It's just so easy to get back in and back out. The one good thing he did though with it is that for the in control player to do anything, they do have to push in from these sides as well because this is where all the weapons are. So it's not like terrible in that regard. So I would probably give it like a 2-ish, like a 2, maybe like a 2.5, but nothing too crazy. It does fall short in a lot of aspects, I feel. But now we have aberration and driven, which I'm going to judge these maps again. Let's talk about aberration. And this is where I'm going to actually have a quick little discussion on what I meant earlier when I started the stream, or when Shark started the stream for me. What I meant earlier about a map that focuses heavily on how fights play out versus a map that focuses heavily on how fights start. Aberration is a map that's generally all about initiating. Generally speaking, how the fight plays out, you kind of already know how it's going to play out once you enter a fight. Positioning matters a lot more. Like there's not a lot of room for error. So that's why, generally speaking, I feel like maps like this in DP5, people do talk a lot about how, they're lacking because of potentially being, a map where, you just use rockets in one of the chokes and stuff, and then you win. A lot of Quake maps and some CPM maps have the same characteristics, and the reason why I'm okay with them is that they are different style maps. Def, holy shit. Def is a mapper who you can tell he definitely likes the whole control scheme. I don't think I've ever seen this man use a green armor on a map, ever. It's all about, holding an area down and then not letting someone come in, fending it off. And then if you try and push in, you'll get slammed with a rocket. So it's generally about how you go into a person rather than starting a fight and then hoping to win like some other maps. I think those maps are needed in the map pool. And I definitely do see the similarities this does have to DP5, but I think it is, way better than DP5 at what DP5 does. So I do think that this map is a 4-level map. Like 100% it is a 4-level map. When we score it, it's probably going to get like high 3s. But I do think he did fix a lot of the issues that DP5 struggled with in terms of initiating fights. There's a lot more, a bit more room for error. There's a lot more options for how someone else will initiate a fight. Just things are just done better. And DP5 obviously is a 4-level map on here. So if this is doing DP5 better than DP5, I do see this overshadowing DP5 in the future, unlike how we talked about Xi10 overshadowing T2 not being possible. I do see this replacing DP5 completely. In terms of approachability, kind of confusing map. You do have, it does follow about the same amount of rules with just going up, which is kind of good because, like, let's see, the red TP, it's just up. Yellow TP is just up. And then it follows the same stair pathing. So yeah, you just go up, go around. Blue TP, also just straight up. So it makes it, easier to figure out and learn. But obviously, this definitely is a map that does struggle with I could definitely see being kind of confusing for new players, especially in the red side of where you're kind of going. It can get kind of confusing. I've even heard higher level players talk about being a bit confused there. But for the most part, at least once you get to the second floor of things and going around to the third and whatnot, very easy to know where you're headed. So it does a good job there, but definitely falls short there. But executes a lot of ideas. It experiments a decent amount. This lava pit is actually, the whole lava pathing is nice. It does fall short in certain locations, certain positions. Like here is very weird, but because this rocket map, where I am, because this map does have a lot more influence on rockets, this kind of being like a shitty spot is kind of fine because it does have the rocket launcher, which is definitely of far more importance on this map than in a lot of other maps. Item layout, ammo layout, very well thought out, makes sense. I mean, that's something you never really see Def struggle with. He's been around for a while, so it's expected that he doesn't really fuck up item placements, like, ever. Ammo makes sense. Plasma and ion being here for tracking. Bolt might be maybe the most confusing one. I feel like I just don't understand its placement. Not the bolt itself, but the bolt ammo. I feel like it's kind of weird where it's placed. But generally speaking, everything else is placed very well, and I don't see any need to change it. I love lava paths that you have to kind of bounce through to get red. I actually am doing a map that has something kind of similar. Like you can punish yourself to take a faster route. So yeah, this map is a whole lot about initiation rather than like the fight itself, which is completely fine. And we kind of need more of those maps. We have a lot of maps that are about the fights themselves a lot of the time. You can ask me more on that later, I guess. So we're gonna score this one again. So enjoyment factor, I didn't get too much time on this map. My PC was basically lagging every time I tried to play this map. So I can't fully rate it, but I do know that from what I got out of it, it was on the same levels as DP5 for me back when I used to play DP5 consistently about 2 years ago. So we're gonna give that a 4 just for now, which does seem, and then structure, geometry, jumping around this. I ran around this map enough times. I took like a couple hours out to get through and understand it. So 4 as well. Item placement, Def never fucks that up. Potential stability, I do see it overshadowing DP5. Approachability and laxant, it's about a 2. There's a lot of things that are easy about it, but just the kind of Triforce Atrium setup can be very confusing. So it's going to get a 2 there. Interaction, definitely a lot of people are going to disagree or agree with me on this. I do like the whole control scheme, control point style setup, and I do like, it being about initiation rather than the fight itself. But I do see there's being some potential issues with that. They definitely created a bit more options than Furnace, I feel. So it does better on that, but Furnace definitely did lack at times in interaction as well. So I'm going to give that a 3. Experimentation, he executed really well on the lava side of things. A lot of people hate it, but I feel like just people just hate lava in general whenever they get gate up by it on a map. It's kind of just inevitable to be like, ah, fuck lava. But how he laid out the lava areas are actually really nice. Force you into awkward positions in a large scale room. Um, there are a lot of good placements for a lot of things. There's some frantic style stuff in there. Um, I actually love like frantic. So I think he executed really well on that. I can't really give it too high of a score there though, because it still does fall into, its furnace. It is a similar map. There's not too much to go off of there, but it's definitely not something that falls fairly short. So I'd say it's about the same level as So Tourney 3. So that's about a 2 in terms of experimentation. Yeah, about average amounts of experimentation, but very creative and very well executed. And then my personal score of this map would be, I can't be too strong on this map. I do feel like I would enjoy just as much as I do Zai 10, and I gave that a 3. So let's just give it a 3 for now. Now let's go over what this map gets for me. So I'm gonna say it's probably around like a 3.6 or 4 plus 4 plus 4 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 divided by 15. Okay, not a 3.6. It gets a 3.27. 3.27. What are current map scores actually? 2.27, 3.13, 2.87. So right now, that actually puts Aberration in the lead. In second place, that puts So Turning 3. And then in third, that puts Phase Shift. Okay. Oh, and then fourth, that puts, I believe, HDM 13. All right, so now let's go to, this is, okay, personal preference. I did save what I believe is the best map for last here. Driven by Greed. As people know, people probably know this already. I'm super biased here. Again, another reason why I'm not a judge. Is my favorite mapper. Def is my second favorite mapper. They basically are the two only mappers left in this fucking game. But Greed is just, I think he has a lot of cool ideas. And while mainly a lot of his maps have always fallen short, and I would definitely give them 2s, I think he's finally gotten his maps to a point where, he knows what the fuck he's doing. Like, he definitely knows what the hell he's doing now. Armor layout here is great. The whole TP here into green is very well done. How it's in the open between the red side and yellow side over there. It's a very open map, and like I already told you guys, open maps are my personal preference. I love going around and kind of like flying around a bit more. Open maps generally mean you have a lot more options, so it's generally way more about how a fight plays out than anything else. But it also But the thing is, with open maps, they're kind of very easy, I guess, to make fun. So I feel like people need to ask themselves sometimes on their map, is my map, because generally speaking, everyone can basically make a fun map. I mean, Reflex is in and of itself, a fun game, but you have to kind of ask yourself, is your map, like, fun, like, fun itself on its own for being, like, the map itself, or is this the same amount of levels of fun I'd get with any other map? And I feel like Greed has made a map that's open, and it's probably one of the best open maps out there. Like areas like here, really well done, really cool. Sightlines are cool. Oh, I missed you, fuck. Sightlines are cool. But and then just item placement. You have little things like, got it. Fuck yeah. All right. Little stuff like that. You see, like there's a lot of cool things that are going around on here. A lot of cool ideas, and he does just the open map structure very well. Sightlines are well done. From what I can tell, though, this map was an older map at one point that was way more open, and I do believe that he needs to add, close up the walls, add some more walls, which is good. I don't think he should take down any of them. But this map, in terms of item layout, item placement, has a really cool dynamic. I've gotten a decent amount of games on here now. I was able to get some games on yesterday. I was able to get some games on the day before as well. And it's very fun, very cool. At times, it can be, at times if someone is, being lame, they can rat a bit. But what helps out is that, like I told you guys earlier, water is anti-rat. You can't rat in water. And this is like the main area to kind of try and attempt to rat in on this map. So for them to have to stop kind of ratting, they have to pass over here. They can't like be slow. So it kind of forces, even the slowest of players to be faster. There's a clear goal in this map. It's fast, but you still have like a lot of options for both types of players. Well, not both types, all types of players. Really well done. Geometry is really creative. I like the angles. I like what's going on here. In terms of approachability, though, I'd say it does kind of fall short a little bit at times. The one good thing about it, though, that keeps it at a 3 level for me is, well, yes, you don't have the stairs. If you notice, there's only one set of stairs really on this map that counts, I would say. It's that stairs at RA side. That goes up. You kind of know exactly where you're headed. This jump here, you don't need to circle jump to get across. This jump here, you don't. It's just, yep. Oh, I bumped into shark. But you don't need to circle jump or anything to get across. Very easy. And then you have the jump pad here. So you kind of always know. It's kind of, the map is split into thirds. You have the river, and then you have, this jump pad up to here, and then the stair set on that side up to there. It's just that this area here, this corner with red, I could see this potentially confusing players. The TPs are very, very easy to learn. There's only 2. Just that blue one you might have to get a bit used to. But yeah, not a hard map to learn. Very approachable, I would say. Even though it does deviate from the simple rule of, a single like route of stairs and whatnot. If you look at other maps, it kind of follows the same rules as T7, I would say, in terms of approachability. Although T7 is a bit more confusing due to its 4 one-way teleporters. Has 4 of them. So I will say that this map when scoring it. We're gonna give it probably a 3 here, but not a 4. Just a couple times I could definitely see, a new player getting a bit confused in a, not too great way, getting a bit lost here, not understanding that TP. But it's not like, it's very hard. It's very hard to get a 4. Let's just say right now, it's very hard to get a 4. I don't think I will say that. What's a map in this game that I'd actually give a 4? I'd actually probably give a 4 to, in terms of approachability. What's probably like the least confusing map to get around in? I have to say maybe Pocket? Yeah.
Probably Pocket, yeah.
Yeah, Pocket. Yeah, Pocket's definitely probably the easiest to learn. TPs are all easy to learn. One-way stairwell. Nothing crazy going on. So this would definitely get a 3. Pocket gets a 4 on that regard. So let's go through here. Enjoyment factor is a 4. Structure is a 4 as well. It's probably going to get about the same score as aberration. Item placement would be a 4. Potential stability. This map is very different. It's one of the only open maps we have in this game that I'd say is actually well executed. Besides, let's call Simp is an open map as well. But it's a different scheme, it's a different style. And then approachability, like I talked about, that is a 3. Interaction, again, it's on the same level. It has a slight control vibe to it, but the GA, helps deviate from that. So it's very just, I think, again, this map is like very well done. And then the experimentation, kind of low again, I would say. The geometry and the center mega, really well done in terms of experimentation, but not something that's too crazy. So it's another 2 for me there. And then the judges score. This was my favorite map. My favorite map to run on and play. So that's a 4. So let's go over that. Let's see what that is. So yeah, 4. Times 2. By 15. That's the 3.6 exact. All right, so we have now went over basically all that were submitted. For me personally, Driven would get first place. Aberration, I think, is different enough and well executed to get second place, although it not being probably like my favorite map I would play on. I'd actually probably say that Soterni 3 probably be my favorite map to play on after that. So Soterni 3 gets third place, then Phase Shift gets a fourth place. And then honorable mentions would definitely be Zyten, Shark DM, Shark DM 1, and then probably like nothing else. I would say that Zyten, Shark DM 1 would be my honorable mentions. I don't really have to mention anything else. I think again, Rife, continue mapping, dude. Shark, continue mapping. AT Allen, you have cool ideas. Now, like, make a map that focuses in on those. Skytune, try new things. Visitor, just clean up maps. Visitor and Shark kind of the same level. Keep mapping, keep cleaning up and keep working on your stuff, because ES, I think, will do very well. And that's really about it. So that's kind of all the maps. Sorry that I didn't get to go into them in full detail. I didn't really get to show off everything I wanted to and be a bit more interesting. I'm on a fucking laptop right now with terrible internet, so I didn't get to really plan out everything as much as I wanted to. But yeah, that's kind of how I predict the judging is gonna go as well. I feel like that's generally what we're gonna get. We might end up seeing the judges giving Xi 10 potentially a higher score. I probably actually can see Xi 10 swapping out for one of those top 4. I don't know which though, but I do think, me personally, I would not have it placed, but would definitely want to see it, continued. And I actually love fucking Zydic Glyph in terms of their mapping ability. They need to just stop adapting reflex maps and start adapting like other maps, because we already have those maps. Come on, man. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you, Shark.
Alright.
Thank you for streaming this for me.
Yeah, no, thanks for doing this. It was cool.
Yeah.
Alright, see you guys.